I've told everybody if they've got questions for you that we want to hear about it. And in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and just kind of get into introducing you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Miss Sunny. How did you get started? I know it's Moodswing BBQ, so I'm assuming at some point in time you had some kind of influence in barbecue, and then now I see you're just this up and coming SCA steak cooker. So tell me about it.
Yeah, my husband actually started the whole Mood Swing barbecue thing. He started off as a KCBS judge and then decided he was going to build his own reverse flow smoker, which ended up being like 1,000-gallon tank on a trailer. And we started into the competition world and catering. But how I got started was kind of a little bit of a fiery event.
Uh-oh.
My my husband had to work late one night and he had meat prepared and already ready. And he called me and he was like, "Hey, just go turn on the Traeger, just a little Traeger pellet smoker. Shouldn't be a big deal. Go turn on the Traeger, let it smoke for 5 minutes and then put the meat on." So I did just that. I pushed the button and left and came back 5 minutes later. And the whole thing was engulfed in flames. And I was like, okay, this is not good. So I FaceTimed him and I'm like, I don't think something's right because the
Yeah.
whole smoker's on fire. And he's like, no, there's supposed to be a little bit of flame in the bottom of it. And I'm like, And I turned the camera around and I'm like, the whole thing's engulfed in flames. And he's like, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
So
that's not.
I tried to like pull it away from the house and like get it out as best as I could. And I was like, this is not my deal. Like, I
Yeah,
do not do barbecue.
that is hilarious. So,
But he
wow.
made me try again. He's like, "Oh, you're not going down like that." He goes, "You're going to get back in and you're going to learn this." And I'm like, "Okay, here we
Yeah.
go."
It's supposed to be easy, right? It's a pellet cooker. Push a
That's right.
button and you're done.
That's right.
So, oh, goodness gracious. Wow. So that's how you got in. You started doing some KCBS barbecue.
Yeah.
All right. And,
Yeah, we actually started winning on that circuit and we were loving it. And then Smitty, Sterling Smith, our good friend, actually ended up bringing the SCA with Brett Galloway to Arizona and
mhm,
brand new. And so we were like, well, let's just give it a try. It's a little day competition and a lot cheaper than KCBS.
right.
So we were like, well, let's just give it a shot. And so I was just Jeff's assistant at this point. And so I was like, sure, I did all the ancillary categories and stuff, and he handled the steak, and I just observed him. And he ended up placing that day. And then as we went along, our good friends like Smitty and Josh Day and some of the others reached out and they're like, Sonny, you just need to compete on your own. And I'm like, that's funny. Like, that's not going to happen. And they're like, no, you know your stuff. And I'm kind of a knowledge nerd. So I want to know the nitty gritty about everything and why the steak does what it does or whatever. And they're like, you know a little too much to just stand on the sidelines. So you need to
Right.
compete and try to win against Jeff. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, that could be fun.
Yeah, yeah. And I do know somebody that's got a little bit of competitive spirit in them. So,
Yeah.
oh, goodness.
So we went with that, and I just started competing against Jeff, and it kind of just became a competition between the two of us. My goal was just to beat him because he's so knowledgeable, like so knowledgeable, and I'm like, gosh dang it, I'm gonna take him down. Like,
That is
this is gonna
hilarious.
work. So actually, it was my second competition. Right after we moved to Tennessee, we took a while off last fall. And we just got back in after COVID hit, and we're like, well, let's just go do some SCA comps because the KCBS hadn't opened
Right.
back up
Shut
yet.
down.
Yeah. So we're like, well, let's try to meet some people and see how this works out here. So we went down to Albertville, and again, like, actually there was a breaking point. Like, I was focused on my fitness business because I'm a personal trainer. And my business coach was like, I want you to work full time for me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, this is an incredible opportunity, but I can't manage all three. I can't
Right.
do barbecue and fitness and work for him and a family.
Right.
So I let him know, I'm like, I just need the weekend to just think about this. And, Jeff and I had been thinking about it for a while and praying about it. And I was like, hey, if I don't do well at this competition, barbecue is not my thing. Like,
Right.
I'm going a different route. So we went to Albertville, and there were 76 teams there, and I didn't know a single one. Neither did Jeff, because we came from Arizona.
Right.
And so we're like, let's just have fun and cook a steak. And that's exactly what we did. And my number was called for first place. And as I went running up there, like the adrenaline just got to me, and I was like, holy crap, I just beat my husband. Like, it wasn't you just beat 76 of the big names in SCA. It was, you just beat your husband. And I'm like, I did it.
That's awesome. Was that your first or second competition?
That was my second on my own.
A second on your own, and you got a first place.
Yeah.
And I saw that one video that you come flying by the screen. I was like, it looked like Flash Gordon going by. So now is that
was my first place.
What did you win in that one?
250-pound fire hydrant.
Yeah, I see. I think Jim hit it best here when he showed this just a second ago when you was talking about the pit going on, the pellet cooker on fire. So that's why you were so happy to get the fire hydrant.
Right.
So
I got something to put the flames out.
Exactly. I mean, how fitting is that? You burn up stuff, you catch the barbecue. You're probably the only person that's ever caught a pellet cooker on fire doing what your husband told you, push the button, and then, you come back, paybacks, hey, you don't want me to barbecue, let me just get in steaks and I'll just spank you a little bit and you're going to like it. So that is too funny. So, well, we got a lot of folks steadily coming on. There's our buddy Mark Lambert. Glad to have you here, Mark. So many people are steadily coming on. If you got any questions or anything for Sonny, certainly let us know. That is an awesome story. So that's how you got started. Was that this year or was that last year?
That was this May or June.
May or June. And that was your second competition?
That was my second on my own.
On your own. Okay, man, that is phenomenal. So
now I had practiced a lot on my own. Like Sterling Smith and a whole bunch of my friends would, Kyle Madwowski and all these other guys would message me and they're like, hey, try this on your steak. And Jeff's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not telling you. Like, do your own thing. Like, it was a big competition just between the two of us.
Right.
And then he would do his own thing and he's like, are you doing a salt brine? And I'm like, yes, I am. So whatever, you can go marinate, whatever. I tried multiple different things, different flavor profiles, just, everything that I could try out. And we would cook them up and we'd have a whole bunch of friends over and would let them taste them. And we're like, do you like one or two? Like, and they're like, well, whose is whose? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Do you like one or two? And pretty much most of the time I would take it unless I was trying something like wild and crazy. Then Jeff, he would totally win.
That is too funny right there. Well, I know this. You have had an amazing journey. You say you've only cooked a handful of competitions, and you told me this. You've had in the last 15 competitions, which I'm assuming is pretty much, most of them are this year. 10 out of your last 15 competitions, you finished in the top 10. And for that, major congratulations, because that is tough to do, especially with the new cook. Now,